YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here trying to tab back into my game and it wasn't cooperating, but here we are. I've got you a Sparta vs. Massilia replay that someone has sent to me. I have been on a business trip the last 3 or 4 days and I had a bunch of videos recorded that was not enough to go all the way through and then give me time to get home and record and keep it continuous. Thought I had enough, but it was not. Yeah, it's busy. It's just been a busy few days. Got back very late, so was definitely needing to get some rest. Still had to work today. So anyway, done now. Should be able to get some recording in. Let's see. So Sparta versus Massilia. I would give the advantage to Sparta if they pick the right army, but Massilia is probably more cost effective. But just in terms of power, I would say Sparta has the potential. The biggest problem they have is that their Spartan hoplites have a really pathetic spear. I mean, just pathetic. Really ought to be an elite spear if Sparta's to have any prayer. So the Spartan army moving through the woods, which is kind of odd, but I don't think it's altogether stupid. So 3 Spartan hoplites. Let's see. I see 2 royal Spartans in the center, 3 more Spartan hoplites. Perioikoi spears, and then a lot of skirmishers. Helot javelins, Gorgos. So 2 Helot javelins and 4 Gorgos, and then there's a little group of citizen cav out here too, 4 citizen cav. And let's see what Massilia is fielding. I don't know if we can see their whole army due to the fact that some of it's coming out of the forest, so we'll just kind of wait until we get a better view of the Massilian army. Let's go and fast forward. It looks like Sparta is going for terrain. This is not a bad plan, so rather than face Massilia right here on the hill, Sparta's pushing for this hill here in the back that has the forest, and are looking to take control of it before Massilia can stop them from doing so, which would give Sparta an excellent position to fight from. From a cavalry standpoint, Massilia definitely has better tools than Sparta because they have heavy shot cavalry in the form of Hippeus, and they also have, yeah, here's a Hippeus Lancer here too. Massilian cavalry is also better than citizen cav. From a meat shield department, Massilia is going to be better. Levy Freeman, they also have Massilian Thurio spears. Better with dealing with cavalry, probably less use against Sparta. When it just comes to spear versus spear, Spartan hoplites are quite a bit cheaper than Massilian hoplites. I would think Massilian hoplites, though, would own Spartan hoplites pretty convincingly, but since they cost more, you can field fewer. A Royal Spartan is more than a match for any infantry unit that Massilia can field. So I would think the general strategy for Sparta would be to take a favorable infantry engagement as soon as they're able, use their cavalry simply to protect their flanks, and then exhibit their skirmishing dominance over Massilia. Massilia would only have Celtic slingers or the Celtic hunters, which are the bowmen, but none of those would be able to stand up well to Gorgos or Cretans or Rhodians. So Sparta would definitely have a skirmish advantage just in terms of faction. So let's see what happens. We got Gorgos skirmishers going to focus fire on the Massilian hoplite general. This is actually a good plan for Sparta. Chipping away at the health of this unit is going to pay dividends later. At least I would think it would. They're also firing downhill, and then they're going to have to turn their back to flee, which means they're going to really take some damage. Fortunately for them, the fire was rather light since it was from long range, but still, these Massilian hoplites are going to feel that later on, chipping away at their hit points. Let's see what Massilia has fielded here. There's a Celtic slinger. Looks like 2 of them, unless there's a 3rd hidden right here, which there very well could be. I see 2 Hippeus. Hippeus are going to be difficult to use versus Sparta. Not impossible, but difficult. Hoplites aren't near as vulnerable from the front to a Hippeus Lancer charge. This Massilian general is just getting picked at by the Gorgos. It's got a weird formation going on here too, and it is losing men. This is very bad for the Massilian hoplite. These guys have nice armor, nice shields, all that kind of stuff, but under intense fire like they are, this is very bad. This unit has already essentially been rendered combat ineffective, and it's the general. So this is not an engagement that Massilia wants to continue to accept, and they should definitely not do what they're doing, which is just going into pike phalanx, or hoplite phalanx. This is not Attila, and it will not work. So these guys are going to continue to just be absolutely crapped on by the Gorgos skirmishers as Sparta holds a commanding hill position. It's a nice move by Sparta from the beginning to come capture the terrain, and it's really going to force Massilia onto unfavorable terms. These Levy Freemen really should not have gotten engaged in combat with these Spartans. I mean, there was no charge from either unit, but it is not going to go well for the Levy Freemen regardless. Let's see, did the Masilian... Yeah, the Masilian's pushing cavalry, actually getting to the Gorgo skirmishers up front, killing a fair number of them. Let's see, Masilian cavalry, 67 kills, not bad at all. This Masilian cavalry has somehow broken through a hole in the line and is absolutely ripping apart Gorgo skirmishers, so this is very bad for Sparta. What was their strength is now going to be taken away. These hoplites ought to get pooped on by the Spartan hoplites. Yeah, the Spartan hoplites are whipping the normal hoplites. So that's going to be an easy engagement for Sparta. And then the Masilian cavalry, although getting a lot of Gorgo skirmishers, is thrown away early. So we'll see how that turns out. Levy Freeman thrown away early. Sparta still has a pretty decisive infantry advantage at this point. Let's see what we can see of the Masilian army. We can see 3 Masilian hoplites, one of which is extremely damaged. It's down to half strength. It's the general. There's 3 Celtic warriors lining up in a front line now, and then 2 Celtic slingers. The Masilian cavalry continues to push forward into the face of danger, trying to get these slingers, and the Masilian cavalry is just pulling into the slingers no matter what, trying to kill as many of them as possible. And it has gotten a lot of kills. 102 kills. Now the Celtic slingers are unloading uphill. You can see that the Gorgo skirmishers are now running. And this Masilian cavalry is now going to get into some helot javelinmen, so the Masilian cavalry getting way more kills than it should here. Especially considering that there was citizen cav all along that could have opposed these guys, but the gaps in the Spartan line were exploited. Massilia has made good use of it. Let's see. Spartan hoplites fighting against Masilians here in the wood. It's just a standard hoplite unit. We do have Celtic warriors, or axe warriors, now working their way through the woods, which were previously hidden. Sparta does have their citizen cavalry exposed to the charge of the Levy Freemen, so this started off very nicely in favor of Sparta, and now it's turning very nicely for the Masilian. If they do a mainline push with this flank wrapping up, it could be good, but Massilia's Celtic warriors are getting crapped on here by Spartan hoplites and citizen cav, and now the Celtic slingers being dealt the same privilege that the Gorgo skirmishers were. Hippeus Lancer coming in to intercept, so really at this point the Masilian is extremely discombobulated down here, although they're doing well up here on the Spartan flank, but the Spartan center is holding a little bit better. Celtic warriors are getting crapped on. Perioikoi spearmen got into some Celtic warriors here and are doing more damage than they should. The Massilian hoplite general is going to die under the assault of this Spartan hoplite, and this Celtic warrior right here could potentially get wrecked unless the Hippeus Lancers save them, which they will not. They will defeat the citizen cavalry, but the Celtic warrior is going to get very, very damaged by that. So the Spartan hoplite follow-up there will be successful. And the Massilian general is about to die. Here he is, fighting to the death with some Spartan hoplites. Massilian hoplite again, a superior unit in general, but not able to do what it needs to here because of the initial damage. So if the Massilian general dies, it's going to be quite bad. Massilia's getting wrapped up there. Some spearmen getting wrapped up by axe warriors. Axe warriors, though, taking a fair bit of damage from these helot javelin men here. So they're kind of holding up the Massilian there. Kind of an odd flank charge by the axemen here, though I think it'll do fairly well, but they're going to pull away from the Spartans. Just take the charge and leave. Not sure where they're headed. These Spartans are going to get a pretty nasty rear charge here from the Hippeus Lancers. It's a downhill charge, but if it doesn't break the Spartans immediately, the Hippeus are going to take a lot of damage, and it looks like it did not do a particularly large amount of damage on the charge, so the Hippeus Lancers are going to start to take some damage if they don't get out of there. And it looks like that's what they're trying to do. Let's find out where the Royal Spartans are. There's still one Royal Spartan there, and then the general is a Royal Spartan. So still several Royal Spartan units on the battlefield. Helot Javelin men holding up these axemen and Levy Freemen. They're going to be intercepted by a Spartan hoplite, and that will be the end of them. This Spartan hoplite and phalanx will most likely defeat the axe warriors. So the axe warriors are going to pull out, it looks like, and try and get more charges. Hippeus Lancers here being charged by the Royal Spartans. They're going to pull away, but kind of get caught. We'll see if they get another move order, but they do not want to stay in combat very long with these guys. Yeah, they're going to do extraordinarily well versus cavalry. Nice high attack, very solid damage versus cavalry. Nice armored piercing as well. Masilian hoplite is going to win the charge on this Spartan hoplite and win that engagement. The Masilian hoplite's quite good on the charge. Sparta is definitely taking some losses. These Royal Spartans, not sure if that'll be a great trade with them up against Axe Warriors. I think they'll do very well. The Axe Warriors don't have the best defensive stats. Comes a Spartan hoplite, going to get a clean charge on these Axe Warriors, which is unfortunate for the Axe Warriors. Otherwise, they could have done alright. They're going to pull back once again, just fleeing from the Spartans rather than staying in combat. Lots of Spartan hoplites left, and it looks like this flank got pushed back. So the Masilians are out here just trying to wrap up the Helot Javelinmen, so not much going on over there. There's a Spartan citizen cavalry here that's unused at the moment. That could be critical later on if it's recognized. Spartans are going to need support here, and they're going to need support here. Both of those engagements are losing engagements. This Royal Spartan, though, does have the capability to destroy just about anything it runs into, as long as it's not getting rear charged by these Hippeus. The Hippeus, on the other hand, are going to do an uphill head-on charge into the Royal Spartans. That will not go well. And there's more Spartan hoplites coming. So the Hippeus are going to be forced to retreat. This is going to be an excellent maneuver here. The Royal Spartans are going to outflank these Masilian hoplites, and if they can stay here long enough, they're going to turn this fight around, and that's going to give Sparta another big infantry advantage here. These Masilian hoplites are completely surrounded by Spartans, and having Royal Spartans to the rear of the unit here is going to be a pretty quick demise for them, I believe. But let's see what's happening. Celtic Warriors trying to head that way. Royal Spartans intercepting, but they are taking a lot of damage due to the odd formation and being outflanked. We'll see what happens. Masilian hoplites are dropping, but not particularly quickly. Let's see, so 2 more Spartan hoplites out here taking charges from Hippeus Lancers. We've got some Periloquoi Spears, Helot Javelins, and other units. The Masilians now have units that can come downhill into the back of the Spartans, so this could end up being rather close. The Royal Spartans now in hoplite phalanx getting a lot of kills here, but again, spears just don't kill other infantry very quickly. And there's a unit of Royal Spartans here that's free that really needs to re-engage these Masilian hoplites here. These 2 units are both just sitting in phalanx glitched out. They need to re-engage that Masilian hoplite. Here, these Celtic slingers, if they have ammo, this is a dire mistake to be caught by these very heavy hoplites. So this citizen cavalry too, just absolutely wasted out here. I mean, it's possible it's a glitched replay, but if not, then that's a big miss by the Spartans. But yeah, these Royal Spartans are going to wrap this up. Got some cool hoplite on hoplite action here for all those Greek fans out there, Greek warfare fans. Ancient Greek warfare, I should say. I don't think the modern Greek forces fight this way. If they do, they're a little bit outdated, but probably still looking cool. Yeah, so those Masilian hoplites have been destroyed, and at this point it's not looking particularly good for Massilia. Let's see what happens here. Hippeus Lancers tearing up these Helot Javelins, and regrouped Gorgo Skirmishers being chased by Periloquoi Spears. And that is a downhill charge from the Periloquoi, though they're not a highly offensive unit. And I don't mean that as a joke. I mean as in that they offend everybody that they come across. They simply do not have good offensive stats. But they're also politically correct, I guess. Alright, so yeah, the Hippeus Lancer is going to do some damage right there, I would think. But again, it's kind of hard to damage high health, high armor hoplites. That's why shot cavalry are not hugely useful versus Sparta, because you're going to end up spending more time running them away from spears than you will getting effective rear charges or disrupting a frontal assault. Looks like these cavalry were not glitched out. They're finally brought back into combat, which is good. They're going to get rid of these Celtic slingers, and that's going to be a huge blow to the Masilian effort. The Axe Warriors kind of continue to just like use their charge bonus and ping-pong around on the Spartans. It's not a bad idea because the Spartans, well, I mean, they're very defensive. Prolonged combat's not going to be good, but I mean, the Masilians are kind of losing the combat over here. This Royal Spartan is taking damage, but it's also dealt a lot of damage. So 177 kills. The general still has 112 units with 132 kills. It's going to be very difficult for Massilia to pull this off, and charging through your own axemen is just going to make that charge even less effective. I mean, they are doing a good job, Massilia is, of keeping these Hippeus Lancers moving, and making sure that they don't just die in prolonged combat. But so far they haven't been wildly effective, and as these other units wrap up, the Spartans are going to become more and more lethal, I think, at this point. Those Hippeus definitely should have mopped up the citizen cav. Leaving it alive was a mistake. I don't know if they just didn't see it. There's not that many Spartans left, though, and with this few men left, a shock cavalry really does have the potential to wreck these kind of units. Battle rhythm now being popped on the Royal Spartans. Let's see if we lose units on this Hippeus. Yeah, they lost quite a few units, and they're going to get intercepted by the citizen cavalry here. But a nice job of running the Axe Warriors in here to pin down the Royal Spartans so that they can't chase the Hippeus, though the Axe Warriors will meet a swift and painful death at the hands of these Spartans. Spartans definitely far more than a match for these mighty Celtic warriors. Let's see, these Masilian hoplites out over here holding up strong and allowing the Hippeus Lancers to destroy some other hoplite units. This is a Royal Spartan unit, which is the only reason it's hanging on, so this is actually going to end up being stupidly close, and looks like it's actually going to go in favor of the Masilian at this point, which I would not have thought all that long ago in this battle, so this one's going to catch me by surprise here. So I don't know that Sparta played their advantage too well here. They've allowed these Hippeus Lancers way too much run of the field. They allowed the Masilian cavalry to get way too many kills early in the game, so it's led to an unnecessary inability to use skirmishers in the late game that Sparta should have had from the beginning. This Royal Spartan, though, it's a tough unit. As you can see, this one is too. It's holding on down to 12 men. If these Hippeus Lancers do rout, it's going to be quite bad for Massilia, I believe. But the Hippeus Lancers are going to be kind of slippery. They're going to be hard for the Royal Spartans to pin down. That battle rhythm is giving them extra attack, but now they're going to be exhausted. Let's see if they use second wind. And this is going to be bad if they get charged. Yeah, they need to charge the Axe Warriors. It is going to leave them open to a rear charge, but ignoring the Axe Warriors would get a lot of kills on the Royal Spartans. And they're probably at less danger from the depleted cavalry units. Let's see, the Masilian is all in at this point. Let's see if 65 Royal Spartans can tank it out versus against the odds. They will be in hoplite phalanx, though they are technically going to be attacked in the rear repeatedly. But these Hippeus Lancer units both now in red morale. Royal Spartans holding strong. They will defeat the Masilians just in kind of one versus one combat. The Hippeus Lancers both rout. Look at this. I thought it was going to be the Spartans. Then I thought it was the Masilians. Now it's going to be the Spartans. So the Spartan resolve is going to carry the day here. These Royal Spartans carrying on the legacy of their forefathers, definitely living up to the Battle of Marathon type expectations here and hanging in the fight. Very impressive showing by a very tough unit. Very enjoyable match. Kind of a fun use of the terrain. Kind of funny how it flipped around at times. Cavalry sneaking behind lines. Lots of interesting stuff in this match. Definitely mistakes made, but you know, I kind of like just the casual matches. Those are some of my favorites to play. The competitive matches are fun too, but sometimes they get pretty predictable, which is the main reason why I kind of just like these random ones. So now the Masilian hoplites filling the morale pinch. Spartans have more than evened out this fight, though the Masilians are putting up a respectable fight. But the Royal Spartans definitely should have this. It's 45 to 37. I wonder if one's fresh. Nope, very tired. And what? Yeah, and the Royal Spartans did get a second win, so yeah, this is definitely going to roll in favor of the Royal Spartans. But impressive just to see how few men left in this battle. Neither one of these units wants to rout because of the high morale factor of all these hoplite units. And look at the armor too and the defense of these units. You can see them just kind of wailing on each other, and it's very slow grind out here. Look at that, it's actually pulled even. I have no idea how. Statistically, the Royal Spartans ought to be crapping all over these Masilian hoplites, but they're winning. The Masilian hoplites were winning. And then it comes to a tie? Are you kidding me? What? What? Really? We're not going to find out who... How are the Masilian hoplites... Your guess is as good as mine. Leave some comments. Tell me what you think was happening there. I don't get that. You had 50 attack Royal Spartans that were only even in combat with the Masilian hoplite. Fight it out in the comments. Who would have won that? Would it have been Massilia or would it have been Sparta if it would have carried on for another minute? You decide. Have fun in the comments. I'll be back soon with more action. Hope y'all enjoyed it.